I don't know what you want from me, so I guess I'll just film this. There was multiple Russian revolutions, one failed one and two flawed ones. The failed one was, the failed one happened in 1900, I think. I don't remember. Basically, there were a bunch of guys who wanted it. Who agreed that the Tsar was absolutely terrible at doing their job. There was, they kept on suppressing the people from getting the knowledge that they wanted, that they needed. And so, as a result, they revolted. When it, however, the revolts did nothing, and as a result, well, it was just a failed revolution. Eventually, Tsar Nicholas II, I believe was his name, he started to do better, and the country along with him. And so, in the end, they didn't really need to revolt. However, it then came World War I, and Tsar Nicholas II was ruining his reputation, and the Germans were winning. However, once the Germans had, and so they revolted again. It was a revolution with some of its own flaws. Eventually, the Tsar resigned, and and there was some sort of democratic republic or some sort of thing put into place to help the people. It was there for less than a year, but it was a terrible year. They weren't really able to handle anything. They weren't able to handle much, and so as a result, they just sort of fell. Once they had fallen, another revolution had begun, and this time, Vladimir Lenin joined in. He dreamed of a communist utopia where all people would get the same fair treatment, and where people would be able to where people would be able to get enough proper food without having to go over to their neighbor and ask them for some bread, where they wouldn't have to follow the lead of monopoly men, and where everyone was equal, at least economically equal. However, things didn't turn out that way. Vladimir Lenin eventually became an extreme authoritarian or totalitarian or whatever you'd like to call him. And eventually his communist values was shredded by his authoritarian or totalitarian values, and eventually he was when he died, the communist utopia was never built, and everything was in the hands of Joseph Stalin, who we all know what he did. Team Fortress 2 was actually made before Overwatch, yet some people still think that Team Fortress 2 is a ripoff of Overwatch. Do a quick Bing search and you see that it's made by it was made in 2006, 2008, I don't know. I believe it was around the time that Minecraft was made, and it beat Overwatch to the competition. Although the Team Fortress 2 YouTube channel hasn't really uploaded anything since 2017. It keeps on giving updates, although most of it is regarding the robots that now infect the game. I've had horrible experiences with those robots that are in Team Fortress 2. There have been quite a bit. I'm pretty sure it's the same bot, but just through some name changes, although it could be multiple bots. There was Festive Hitman, there was Festive Hitman, there was Raspy, there was a ton of robots. There was one back in 2020 that it was very racist. Kept on putting racial slurs in the chat. So, overflowing up to the point where nobody could chat with each other through the text. They had to use the voice chat. Although, in my opinion, Raspy was worse because Raspy kept on using the voice chat. If you search up on Steam for Raspy, you won't see the robot because the robot doesn't have that Steam username. I'm not even sure if it has Steam. But this guy's username to be Raspy. Raspy is actually just a guy who told everyone how to kick the bots. Eventually the robots patched it and renamed their robots to Raspy to try and make people confused and to make them torture Raspy with all of the direct messages asking him why he's sending robots when in reality he never did. He was just trying to help the Team Fortress 2 community, but instead he was cyberbullied by robot makers who wanted to destroy the Team Fortress 2 community. Really goes to show how some people abuse their power in horrible ways. Tom Scott talks about how copyright is not really how YouTube's copyright system isn't broken. The world's copyright system is, and in my opinion, he's not wrong. Disney keeps on extending the law on when something should officially become into the public domain, just so that they could keep Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse should have gone into the public domain long ago. It never did. It just shows the effects of what happens when you start to overuse a character. And it goes to show how people abuse their power. Do you ever wonder what happens behind the scenes of Discord? Behind what you're usually used to seeing? All of those private servers that most people are completely oblivious about? Some that have less than 3 members and yet could be doing illegal things right now. Could be planning a coup, could be some sort of way for people to figure out ways to abuse their power. Maybe it's just people who want to have some sort of dummy or something to teach their power on. See what lengths they could go to before something bad happens. Power is the only thing people want, right? They'll get it one way or another. Or at least they'll try to. Just want power over everything. Power over what happens. Power over what the weather is. Power over what the people get. Power over what their kids want. Power over what anyone wants or what anyone gets or what anyone does. People are always looking for power. Not a lot of them do get that. It's reserved for very few people. Most of the power belongs to people who hold a monopoly on something. Mainly a monopoly on a product. I think in the United States it's power to companies, power to those who have enough money to convince politicians to do whatever they want. To make sure that their policies do not interfere with what the company wants. They have power over what will go on. Some people think that they have the power to do what they want with their rulers, but sometimes some people just need a reminder as to who's ruling who. There are a select few people in this world that don't desire power, that don't desire anything from it. They just want something else. Something that power can't give them. Something that power doesn't satisfy. What is power? Is it having a monopoly over a simple something? What is power gathered up by? Money? Politicians? People? Supernatural forces? People could call a lot of things power, and we probably don't know what real power will ever look like. We'll just know what we think it looks like. people think that the power is fame. Having a lot of fame is having a lot of power. I can't say they're wrong. After all, I don't know what power looks like. I'd say maybe the power of the people is the only true power. It's something that someone cannot buy. Something that someone cannot kill. Usually when governments are overthrown, they're overthrown by the will of the people. Without the will of the people, there's nothing that could overthrow a government. There's no price to get a government overthrown. There's no budget put into a revolution. Maybe I'm giving myself power right now and I wouldn't even know it. Could aim be power? Could being good at video games be a power? Maybe power is just something that isn't a specific thing. Power can be given in lots of different ways, but what nobody will ever have is superpower. Which I can only assume is something given by supernatural beings, or some sort of supernatural force that we may never experience. Maybe power has something to do with economics. But one thing may be for sure, and that is that we will never reach superpower. But I'm not an expert in anything. There could be another thing that is more powerful than power, and that is entertainment. After all, it's the number one thing we probably all ever desire: to be entertained. We don't desire to work, do we? I mean, a lot of people do. They desire to be entertained, to be distracted from whatever they're trying to do. All I ever want is to be entertained. Maybe we would give up all of the power in the world just for a little bit of entertainment. If you had all the power in the world, and if you had all the power in the world but no entertainment, but you were given an offer to be given entertainment for the price of all your power, then would you accept that? I hope you got what you wanted. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.